Hey, welcome everybody. Josh rving Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Grand Design today, getting you some updated footage on what I believe is their smallest, lightest, and least expensivest fifth wheel, the Reflection 100 Series 22RK. I want to stress that 100 series. There's 3 series of Reflection. There's 100, 150, and then just called Reflection. They're each made with a little bit different target and mindset. There's affordability, towability, and livability. And this is the one that fits in the affordability bucket. What is kind of awesome though are the number of golden thread features that you find across all the Reflections that are still equipped here. Like, it's not a cutthroat, bare bones kind of RV. It does not have all the fancy widgets and whiz bangs that some of the other Reflections have, but we still have things like better tires, better suspension, anti-lock brakes, electronic anti-sway. Their 0 to 100 degree rated weather package, one-touch auto leveling, and a smaller, more budget-focused fifth wheel is not something that you can always take for granted. That's a really cool feature that they've maintained here. This floor plan was one of the very first I've seen where, like, these smaller, like, it's only like 27, 28 feet tip to tail, very small, very nimble, kind of easy towing, easy parking camper. Not a lot of fifth wheels work for your state national parks. This one can, but usually this style of floor plan, where the hallway is on the driver's side, means that when the slides close, you lose the bedroom and bathroom in transit. What they did here, a little bit differently, allows you to basically maintain 100% access to the RV when the slide is closed. And I think that's one of the really cool signature calling card features that we're looking at. Now, quick housekeeping note, we're looking at an early generation of an on the way to being a full-fledged 26. So don't be surprised if you see this footage and then see one at one of our dealerships or any store that a couple little changes exist. But I want to get down here to start building the catalog, to start letting you know what's coming out and overall the general look of these things. And if you appreciate that, hit that subscribe button and let's get in there. And I can't say this enough. Like any RV, this RV has some awesome features, and it has some things that are going to make you gnash your teeth and grind your gears. You know, I've yet to find the one model that everybody says it's perfect. But this one, what it does well, it gives us nice storage, good kitchen space, decent campsite window coverage, private true queen bedroom in a very manageable size. The benefit of this floor plan is that you can build it shorter than almost any other couples camping fifth wheel, unless you want to get cute and put the bathroom on the lower deck, which nobody wants to go up and down stairs at night to use the bathroom in today's world and market. There are some also interesting qualities in this. Like, by default, we've got a single 15,000 BTU air up here, but this is 50 amp, and it is capable of accepting a second air conditioner. And I believe you can do that straight from the factory, because that's exactly what we're looking at here today. It also has that direct view TV straight across from the theater seat with an oversized campside window, which is all really nice things to talk about. But every advantage also comes with an associated drawback. But let's just start getting into things piece by piece here. Now that we've kind of had a look at the living area, we've got that clutter cutter shoe garage right by the door. And one of the things that I appreciate here, they intentionally left the entry area more wide open. And they even gave it a larger, like 30-inch entry door, which gives it a very nice big welcome home feel. As you can see, you do have a full viewing window in that door. It does not have a factory privacy shade. That's not a very difficult thing to solve for, however. When you sit down over here, a couple more things are revealed. First of all, I'm going to point you kind of straight down. This is a double pedestal post knee knocker style dining table. The good news is what you can basically do here, if you don't like this style of table setup, because I'm not personally a fan. You see how it's just screwed into the bottom of the tabletop? If you just unscrew the legs from the tabletop, unscrew the foot mount from the floor, you could reuse the tabletop with a set of like free-floating folding legs. Like, if you get on Amazon and you type folding RV table leg, you'll find a bunch of solutions that can give you a free-floating table that can allow you to move the table around, which is something that I personally like, but maybe you don't care. I don't know. That's just me looking for solutions where maybe there's not a problem. They have a large number of power outlets under these overhead cabinets right here as well. That set over there on the right under the TV also having some double USB plugs. Now, it is cool that the TV is straight across from the theater seat, but as you've noticed, I have to really tilt up to be able to view that. And I'm not trying to cheat and hold the camera way above my head or anything. This is what it looks like when you're sitting at the theater seat, camera straight in front of my face. I would like it if that TV angled down a little bit more. But again, with a couple bucks on Amazon, I can solve for that. Now, here's the thing. I've just said a couple times where, hey, with a couple bucks on Amazon, you could do this or that. And you're like, well, how much more do I have to spend on this thing? Well, you don't necessarily have to, but it's the kind of RV that gives you the opportunity to do those things. And if you look at the price of a Reflection 100 versus like a 150 or full reflection, you could make a couple $40 modifications. Let's say you spend $200 on little modifications. You could still be many thousands of dollars less than getting a bigger reflection, while still getting most of the same kind of features. Not identical, but a lot of them. Now this refrigerator door opens right in my face, so allow me to get you around the corner here a little bit. Is that helpful, by the way? Like, I try to start and stop the footage from roughly the same position as much as possible so that it feels like it would be a easier, more direct, logical flow for a viewer. Is that helpful, or am I just creating extra work and bad camera angles that could otherwise be avoided? If you're willing to leave me that feedback, I would appreciate it, because folks, your input continues to drive this channel, and I thank you for all of your feedback and assistance through all the years here. Now, this is, if you're familiar with their floor plan family at Grand Design, this is basically the fifth wheel version of an Imagine 23 LDE, which is an intensely popular model that has a very, very similar layout. It gives you a lot of storage and a lot of countertop space. But one of the things that people will sometimes ask is they say, wait a minute, I've been told that with a rear kitchen, the storage behind the axles bounces more when you're traveling around. And here you're showing me a rear kitchen. And yeah, the answer is it certainly will. But the thing to remember is that an RV of this size with a very small overhang behind the axles will bounce very differently as compared to like a 45-foot fifth wheel bouncing down the road with a huge overhang behind the axles. And I'm not saying that means it doesn't matter on this model. I'm saying it means it a lot less. And this is an RV intended for a little more casual use, being a little more of a budget sensitive category. Like that's why this is the only, by the way, Grand Design fifth wheel. You'll still find some carpet within the slide out. But I like this little stuff. I like it when I have a folding armrest. That gives me, well, first of all, they give us the two fister cup holders. You have them both here in the armrest as well as in the folding armrest as well as in the fixed armrest. And that's where you have some USB chargers as well. But you also have that ability to have that cuddle compliance. And this is a wall hugger theater. I want to point that out because although most are, not all are. Over here, this U-dinette is what I call a true U-dinette, so it can fold down into a larger adult-sized sleeper, as you notice. And by the way, when you're traveling, you should at least put that table down into sleep mode. A lot of people don't realize that. And it just helps those pedestal-style legs from wiggling loose, which can cause your table to maybe unintentionally dislodge and jiggle bang against stuff. Now, I'm going to do something I don't normally do and break my normal order of operations here. Because although it gets very tight, if you notice, they leave you a little bit of a dog leg hook right there where you can slip your way into the upper deck or reach that converter fuse box if need be. And just to show you, there's no Jim Henson, the alcoholic brother of Jim Henson. A new Uncle Gary character was just created, I think, ladies and gentlemen. But so that you can see there's no Jim Henson movie magic here. Like, I'm not trying to get like, I have to turn my shoulders a little bit there to get through. But I'm a big dude. I'm about 60 pounds overweight right now. I'm a little over 6 foot tall. I fit through that thing pretty darn easily. And I'm not saying every person of every stature will, but for the most part, this one is very travel friendly. Bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and dining, all accessible without ever touching the slide. that's an awesome quadfecta of features there. And then if we 180 the camera, we're facing the upper deck right here, moving up into the bathroom first and foremost. I've always kind of liked the hallways and RVs over here on the driver's side, but it normally creates such a travel privacy conundrum that it just doesn't always work. And this one, they found a way to do it. Now, there's not a ton of linen storage in here, but for a small RV, kind of a weekender, that sort of boxy space up there, being able to roll and stuff some towels, I could make that work. Something I really like, though, Reflection kind of led the way with this. Check the look at my head, above my head, in the shower footage here. They do not have a traditional skylight. They were one of the very first, and I don't think they got a lot of credit for it, to adopt that 12-volt lit ceiling tray, and it removes the biggest hole in the roof membrane as a result. I think that is a very smart, very cool feature. On our way down here, we do have that porcelain foot flush stool, and it is what I call fairly fluffy friendly. After a variety of fajitas, you have plenty of space on that thing. Now, what's a little bit trickier for me, if I have to spin you around a little bit here, decent sized bathroom sink, by the way, some respectable counter space, but I would like to draw your attention over to the right side of the screen. It's hard to showcase on the main camera here, but you have decent drawer space and a spot for a little wastebasket under the sink right there. And notice that they maintained the completely like ventless floor heat system right here. There's a lot of RVs that will say something like no heat vents on the main deck, and then you get upstairs and there's a couple heat vents on the floor. And I can deal with it, but there's none in this one. Now, some of the different reflections actually ride on a different chassis depending on their size. There's not one chassis that fits the entire fifth wheel industry. Like this one you see has a little bit of that ankle breaker step of death right there. That's a structural cross member below this 60 by 80 true queen bed. I do love the look and the symmetry of this bedroom though. It gives it a nice wide open look and feel. That shelf above the bed, you can put a phone up there or beside you. You've got your phone chargers and your plugs and everything built into kind of the side boxing over there on both sides of the bed, in case you're curious. It's not an enclosed overhead storage, but they put that wooden slat there to help stuff stay in place. It's not nothing. I'll take it. I also notice all the nice radius work on all their cabinet ends. You know, there's not those sharp corners that'll jab you. And again, this is 50 amp service. It is second AC capable. And as you see here, you can get that done straight from the factory level. Now, this does not have the washer dryer prep of some of the bigger reflections, but what it does have over here is essentially the storage of a closet side without actually having an entire slide out to like maintain. So popping all that open, you see you've got the double dresser drawers there. That's where your hanging space will be located, because the cabinets on either side of the bed, obviously not traditional hanging space. Now, working our way backwards, we're back down here, working our way, you know, instead of facing me, we'll have the camera face the front, and you can see still with the slide closed, still in road mode, I can slip my way through here. And I'm not telling you it's not without a couple sideways two steps, but the fact is, this is the only builder of this floor plan specifically I've ever personally seen that allows you that sort of access and function. Now, if I spin around a little bit here to show you what else is available in the lower deck, if you notice how they arrange the kitchen with the refrigerator mounted forward in the face of the slide, we can obviously get to the refrigerator. It's so shiny, you can check to make sure your shirt's tucked in, I guess. Now your stove, your oven, your microwave, those will be essentially lost for transit. But you do have sink access, and the majority of your cabinetry and your dining not being lost. So this is going to be very good for even just a quick snack stop to an overnighter. Now, I got a feeling a lot of people look at a small fifth wheel like this at a lot of dealerships and say, oh yeah, slap it on a half ton all day, every day. I feel uncomfortable. I mean, you can tell by the way I'm stumbling on my words. I don't love the idea of half tons and fifth wheels typically being paired together. Now, this one with 1,120 pounds of empty hitch weight before cargo, by the time you factor in cargo, human body weight in the vehicle, and the weight of the hitch in the truck bed, there might be some half tons that could handle it. So there's some half-ton towable potential here, but again, I don't like this idea. I have been advised this might be a temporary nose cap. They might be updating this to something that looks a little more shapely and attractive. But overall, what do you think of the whole look of this series here? And actually, the way that I've got these things lined up, I mentioned there's 3 series of reflection. This is the 100 series. This is the one targeted for affordability. Then there's the 150 series with better pin box and suspension and a few other things. It's targeted for mobility. And then there's the big reflection, which is targeted for livability, for like long-term stationary stay in use. So there's 3 different series of reflections, all made with very different target intentions. And when you understand that, the family of reflections starts to make a little more sense, to me at least. But let's talk a little more about the DNA. And this is, a lot of this stuff will be true of all the reflections. So if you like this, we're like, I need a little more space. A lot of this will still translate. First of all, they always use a 60 amp charge controller. And they wire the sucker so that it can handle up to 720 watts of solar. Now, the size of solar on a reflection is determined by the refrigerator. If you have a 10 cubic foot fridge like we're looking at today, you have 200 watts of solar. If you get a 16 cubic foot fridge on a bigger reflection, it's a 370 watt solar package. And their progressive dynamics converter is located out here. There's a lot of cool things that go along with what I just said there. Converters are not something average person's very well educated on. I'm not the most educated on them, but by having the converter, first of all, mounted in the front pass-through, you don't have to tear apart a cabinet to access it. Cool. The other thing is progressive dynamics, I think, is a higher quality electronics brand of components. Third, you can select your battery type. Flooded, lead acid, AGM, lithium. Now, a lot of your auto-detect converters don't really, truly auto-detect stuff. And the reason I want to mention that is, like, if you spend a bunch of money and you get a lithium battery and you pair it up with an auto-detect converter, the converter will typically only charge the lithium battery up to 80%, and then your solar package has to do the other 20%. If this is parked in a barn, no sun, and you do have it plugged in, that converter, when selected on lithium, with a lithium battery on it, will 100% charge that battery. So there's some key details there. You've got your 60,000 BTU on-demand water heater. That dangly little white flag is your propane quick connect. And down here, there's a lot of other fifth wheels in this kind of class, category, budget range right now, like Eagle SLE, Cougar Sport. Some things I want to point out here that I think are very big differences in this price point we're all looking at right here. First of all, Goodyear Endurance radials. Not all of the others have that. The MoreRide CRE 3000 suspension package for better ride and handling. You see the red brake drums. That is electronic, anti-sway, and anti-lock braking. And then you see that stabilizer jack leg down there on the ground back there. This does have auto leveling. Many, not all, many of the fifth wheels in this competitive category will have, typically not all of that, but typically not any of the stuff that I just pointed out, all right down there at the ground level. I mean, would you not want the better tires, the better braking, the anti-sway, the better suspension, the auto leveling? I think that if money were no object, you would want those things. And in a competitive price bracket, Reflection offers those things where many other brands don't. Now, to be fair, they also offer some things that Reflection doesn't. That's why there's no best fifth wheel. They all have advantages and drawbacks. So I just want to educate you on the different offerings here. It does have a 3,000-pound towing hitch receiver on the back with safety chain hooks and four-way wiring harness. That is a slim rack slide system. So it's a purely above floor slide system right there. But as far as I know, that slide system will typically allow you to occupy the slide while the slide is retracted, which is a very rare quality. It does have a sewer hose handy helper tube so that you don't have to store that in your front pass-through. But as I back up here, you might notice a sewer outlet in front of the tires for the bathroom, and then a second one in the back for the kitchen. This RV does have two separate gray tanks, which is why the gray water capacity on this RV looks so much bigger than everything else. Evidently, they were not able to cross-plumb everything together. Grand Design typically very good about that whenever they have the opportunity. Enclosed docking center, again, is the another thing that in this more price-sensitive fifth wheel segment, you don't typically get little detail features like that. It's 100 little, oh wow. I just started noticing as I was walking around, you got this little like quilted northern looking graphic, and depending on where you stand, it almost like has a pseudo holographic effect, like a holographic Charizard Pokemon card, which is funny because despite the nerd that I am, I never got into the Pokemon cards. But I don't judge people for the things they like, because the things I like are the things I like. So you do what you like. You know what? I got way off topic and this fell apart right at the end, like the end of every AC/DC song. Now, as I always do, I'll leave you some links in the video description to double check things like pricing and availability, but also some other builders who have similar, maybe not identical, but similar, smaller, we'll say under 30-foot rear kitchen models. I'll dig a few of those up. I'll let you cross compare and see which one you enjoy the most. But overall, what did you think of this thing right here? If you're willing to leave any final comments. If there's one thing that you love and one thing that you would change given a magic wand opportunity, what would it be? And saying I get one for free with a magic wand is not an option. You know, it occurs to me, when it comes to magic and fairies, there's Tinkerbell and then there's Taco Bell. And I think that I've been a little more of the Taco Bell variety lately here. I got to get down about 60 pounds back to my Tinkerbell size, but that's an entirely different story for an entirely different day. Typical squirrel moment for me. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.